Now let's begin the conversation. This time, we begin with developments in the telecommunications sector. A few days ago, the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) approved a 50% tariff adjustment for telecom services, citing rising operational costs. This marks the first rate adjustment since 2013. In response, the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has urged Nigerians to prepare for a nationwide boycott in protests. In a statement, the NLC President Joe Ajero condemned the tariff hike, calling it an unjust burden on citizens already struggling with economic hardships. The Labour Union also criticized the timing of the hike, noting that it coincides with rising inflation and declining purchasing power. Ajero emphasized that telecom services have become a basic necessity, with the average Nigerian worker spending about 10% of their income on telecom charges. He urged all Nigerian workers and the public to reject the hike. All right, Tunde Abasan, let me start with you. Is NLC fighting a wrong battle concerning this hike?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, you mentioned the other time that this is the first time in 10 years, probably the NCC will empower or allow telecom operators to increase. Well, it is not enough reason to ask them to increase by 50%, considering the prevailing economic situation in the country now. Yes, you may say the NLC is only representing workers, but by and large, many other Nigerians are now using telecommunications. It has become a very important part of our daily life, whether you like it or not.
But let me cut you in there.
Yes.
If you also remember, like I said, 10 or 12 years ago, that was the last time they did. But we had COVID. We had so many things, inflation and so many things in the past 10 years, they did not increase. And now they are doing it now. Well, why is it so wrong?
Yes, they can do it, but you also have to know that time and season waits for nobody. At this point in time in Nigeria, I think 50% is on the high side.
But have they not tried enough?
They are businessmen. They are in business. But we also have to know that it is a component part of daily living in Nigeria. That telephone is very important now in Nigeria. It is no longer for the an issue say it is for the rich. It is for everybody. So when you look at the multiplier effect, and when you look at the fact that a lot of services are likely to be affected by this increase, I think 50%, I'm not against any increase. Like every other sectors have tried to justify the economic variations, the economic changes that is happening in Nigeria to justify increase in their services. But that is not to say you take them to 50%.
Is it not better than shutting down?
Well, shutting down may be a way of protesting. I don't think they will. I don't. It may be a
shutting down will be a way of protesting.
They may not necessarily shut down, but I think they have left a caveat for the NCC and for the organized labor and Nigerians to negotiate. But I think 50% is not too reasonable at this point in time.
Okay, like how many percent would you have suggested?
Well, maybe they should have started with 20% increase.
They talked about timing of this increase. What are your thoughts on that part?
Well, at this point, I remember last year, MTN was even saying they want to shut down because they could not. They were already posting losses. Most of the telcos were already posting losses because, the Naira devaluation, affected them seriously. I remember even MTN posted about 519 billion, during the Naira devaluation. Airtel posted about $549 million. Okay, so it means that the telcos were already thinking of closing shop, which I know that they know that Nigeria has one of the largest population in sub-Saharan Africa. So it would have been difficult for them. Maybe they would have found a way around it. But the major reasons they were giving was because the operational cost was going high. Now, in terms of timing, I feel that, they actually wanted 100% before NCC, I think after deliberations and all that, with them, because I'm not sure they actually had the NLC or any member of maybe the NECA you know, for people to sit down and then begin to discuss on how much this the tariff should be increased. But they just decided, you know, the NCC just decided it has to be 50%. But there's no time.
Okay.
The thing is, there's no time for that to be increased. But perhaps they should have just increased, just like Abatan said. Maybe they could have started with, you know, saying that, okay, we'll give you maybe another 1 year or 2 years. Start with maybe 20%, 25%, or even 15%.
But another thing is, I asked Abat on the first one, that is the NLC fighting a wrong battle here? Why is the NLC not looking at the reasons for the increase? Operational cost, inflation, you know, forex, all of these things. Why is the NLC not looking at that and looking at the telecoms?
NLC has been fighting for all these things that you are talking about.
Have they really been
Yes,
fighting?
because it affects the workers. When you talk about inflation, it is the workers that will also... Don't forget, they fought for minimum wage to be increased from 30 to 70. So a part of what they were discussing was they were thinking that prices at that time would be constant, not knowing that fuel prices will go up and then inflation will be going up. You understand?
Okay.
So in 30,000, if you look at how much inflation was then, it wasn't as high as now.
Sure.
You understand? So NLC will also be looking at, okay, fine, for them to increase now, perhaps they also have to have shifted a little bit and hold on a bit, because this has become making calls or using data has become part and parcel of a worker's life.
I don't want to hold brief for the telecoms, you know, operators, but looking at different businesses, the past 10 years, if you sell a crate of egg now, I'm sure you must have increased like maybe 4 or 5 times the past 10 years. Now they did not increase.
Yes.
Even during the time of COVID, when people were, they did not increase.
It's just unfortunate that...
so why are they haggling over this?
No, it's just unfortunate that we have found ourselves in this. You understand? You know, I feel for them, because most of them have base stations, and those base stations, they need to secure those base stations.
They run on diesel.
Security. They run on diesel. And some of them, when people are complaining, oh, we don't have maybe network somewhere, they need to get the towers in that particular place. So, and even the tower companies have also increased their tariff. They increased by 300%. You understand? So if you look at the issues they also brought forward,
exactly,
you also pity them.
Exactly.
You know, but I feel that where maybe they might have been, they dropped the ball would have been for them to also look at, okay, consider your consumers. Will they be able to pay at this particular period? Because let me tell you...
are the consumers also considering the telecoms operators?
Let me tell you, it means that you that will, anytime I call you, start greeting me, good morning, how are you, how is your family? You won't be able to do that.
You go straight to the point.
You have to write what you want to tell me, and then you go straight to the point.
You have to economize your words.
your words.
Talk is no longer cheap.
It's not cheap.
But I want to come in here. What was the NCC quick in reaching a conclusion on the hike?
Well, taking into consideration the NCC is the major regulator of the telecommunication industry, they will have taken a lot of things into consideration. But I won't say they are quick. But the only thing, the onus is that they shouldn't have allowed such a margin of increase based on the prevailing economic situation in the country. Yes, these people are big players. Like in the oil, I was explaining to somebody, an elderly person a few days ago, that whatever happens to the oil price in the international market will affect Nigeria. That what is happening now is a function of the international market. That Nigeria is just a player, and Nigeria is also a beneficiary whenever there's the increase in the price of crude oil, because we are making this. But we also have to service our system with foreign money. Okay. So these telecommunication companies, they have every right to adjust. Nobody is saying that the price, after all, the price of coke has increased from probably 150 naira to about 450 naira.
Yes.
Well, nobody is saying that they should not be in business, or they should be in business to record losses, that they should be out of business. Because if they are out of business, a lot of things will be disrupted in Nigeria.
Exactly.
The whole life of Nigerians are now anchored on telecommunication. If you can practicalize it, shut down telecommunication in Lagos alone, there will be chaos. that will take 1 week to resolve it. Shut it down for 2 hours. A lot of people will be on the street because communication has become very important.
Exactly.
But without that, taking into consideration the fact that the NCC has to also free the purse of the people and come to the center of it all. Let us say, like you said, 25%, 20%, and the increase will be graduated over time. Let it be
maybe 2 years.
2 years, maybe 1 year over a period of time.
Now, some persons have argued that, hey, the subscribers were not carried along when these negotiations were. But should the NLC and subscribers be actually carried along when these negotiations were actually going?
You know, I think that is also so many people are saying that they should have been carried along. But don't forget, these guys are business
people.
They are business people.
But they are serving Nigerians.
Yeah,
they are serving Nigerian workers as well.
Yes, I know. But they are private owners. Okay. I think apart from MTN that is on the stock market, every other one is out there. You understand? So if they would have, for consideration reasons, in quotes, maybe they could have, invited the NLC to sit down to look at it. But if you look at how many people are, under the umbrella of NLC, the number is not much. But we know that we have so many Nigerians who are actually using their services. So that is where they could have considered. Because don't forget, there are some people who are not under the employment of government, and they are